Now, 14 years since she published her book Paper Airplanes, Dawn O'Porter has returned to the world of Renée and Flow.
Her new book, Honeybee, has been described by critics as bold, brilliant and, of course, buzzy, and is a love letter to female friendships. Dawn O'Porter, you're very welcome to the show. Thank you so much for joining us today. Now, this book, you have revisited some old friends, but that wasn't the initial plan. You had initially started writing a different book.
Oh, yeah. So I was writing another book in December, which is
my heart. I was like,
oh my God. I was like, why? What happened? I was writing a different book in December, and just that kind of crushing moment for a writer when you're just like, it's not happening. This isn't working. I've got nothing. Oh, God. And then I remembered, I said to my publisher, I have to walk away from this book. I've never done that before. But I'd written the first draft of this book in 2018. I just banked it and not really done anything with it. And I was like, but I have this kind of backup manuscript for this other book. And I gave it to them and it needed a huge rewrite, but we were all agreed that was the book that would come out this year. So
Back to Flo and Renée.
Back to Flo and Renée. These girls have a tendency to save the day for me. Like when I first got the book deal for Paper Airplanes, my career was floundering. I was like, what am I going to do? And then just got offered to write a book. And that was Paper Airplanes. Completely changed and saved my life. And then this time when I was like, I don't know what to do, there they were again. They're just always there at the right moment.
They're ushered back in.
Yeah, yes, you're fairy godmothers.
Yeah.
And this time, Flo and Renée are about 21, 22, which is also the age you were when you returned to the place that you grew up. So was it kind of cathartic to revisit that time in your own life?
Massively. And when I was bringing them back for the third book, I was like, well, where are they? Are they nearly 30? Am I going to pick them up now? I was like mid-40s. And then I was like, no, there was this really kind of important summer in my life where you've absolutely stopped being a kid. You're back from uni, you've gone back home to where you're from for the summer, but parents are being like, you're not staying. You've got to look at adulthood as this kind of huge expanse of time ahead of you. And it feels like a bit of an insignificant age, but it's actually huge. That huge moment, that big leap that you take into, right, what am I going to do next? So I plonked them back there at 22. And it was really fun to revisit it. Also quite stressful realising how much pressure there is on you at that age. Back then, it was like, what do you want to do? What are you going to be? I think people are a bit easier on young people now. Test some things out. You don't have to make any big decisions. But back then, it was like, make the decisions to define the rest of your life. And it's like, how do I do this? So it was quite nice to go back and revisit it through fiction. And because I pour myself into Renée, so make some different, slightly better decisions sometimes. Okay. And then also kind of rewrite the mistakes a bit. So it was lovely to go back there.
It's a celebration and an exploration, really, of female friendships with those two characters. But I was just reading that something that actually struck me as quite sad, that there were female friendships that you never really got to experience because you said it's because you almost were afraid to be that intimate with another female and have that sort of connection with them. Did I?
Well, I think you can overanalyze yourself and look back at yourself as a kid, but I was the kind of kid, because I had some trauma when I was a kid. My mum died, so I had lots of close friends.
That's significant trauma. That's
yes, it's quite significant. But I never had that one. I had lots of friends, but I never had that one friend from like the age of 12, 14, all through life. And I find that relationship between two women so fascinating, because I would kind of jump between friends, and maybe it was connected to the fact that I was what else, and found it hard to kind of commit to things. But I just find writing about a friendship that lasts a lifetime, that's not a friendship that I've had. So interesting, way more interesting than writing romantic relationships and marriages that last a long time. How do you hold one person close to you from childhood into adulthood, with all the trials and tribulations that you face, moving to different places, getting married, having babies, not having babies, whatever it is? How do you stay together as two people? And that is kind of, for some people, the greatest love story of their life.
It really is.
And that's why I love writing Renée and Flow, because I can't relate to that. I haven't had that one person all the way through. So as a writer, I'm like, how do I keep them together? And how do I make sure they don't fall apart? I love it.
Much more important than any romantic love, really,
Exactly,
isn't it?
honestly. And I also like, so I know in this book, Renée and Flo aren't in the best point of their relationship, but the book is told in kind of alternating narratives. So it's kind of like you're their friend and you're hearing both sides of it, which is what happens in a group of friends anyway.
Yeah.
You know, in a group of girls, you're kind of trying to figure out, like, you see both sides, and the book kind of shows that, doesn't it?
It does. I think they're so different, Renée and Flo, and I write them in first person so that I get deep into their heads, because like Renée is so similar to me, and so Flo is essentially just the exact opposite. And I think this is also where friendships are so powerful, is you can be friends with people who are really different to you, because you don't have to live with them for your entire life and parent with them and do these things. So the differences can become strengths. And yeah, so I love writing the two perspectives. I think it's important to like get into the dark corners of both of their weird minds.
Because there's also three stories, or there's three sides, and there's two sides on the truth as well. You know,
Yeah.
so really
The look on your face, you don't have to parent with them.
You don't have to parent with them.
Your face, because of course, you guys, yourself and the lovely Chris O'Dowd, you've moved from one side of the Atlantic to the other recently, and for a very good reason.
For lots of reasons.
Yeah.
There really is no one reason, I have to say. We always knew we'd come back at some point. We wanted to be closer to family. We're looking at, you know, where do we want to raise the kids? America's weird.
It's gone bonkers, hasn't it?
It doesn't feel...
Is it as weird for you living there? Has it been as weird for you living there as it has been for people like us looking in?
Well, I'd say now I'm back and I'm watching America on the news. It's like a really terrible movie that never ends, and a really badly written movie with all these kind of disjointed plot lines. You're like, what's going on over there? And it does started to feel a lot like that living there. You know, we always, you know, when I've been in the school mum chats and everyone's kind of complaining about the feeling in America and how it feels very uncomfortable. And I'm thinking, we can just go. Yeah. And realising how lucky we were to just be able to go. But I still love it. We had a brilliant time there. I loved living there. We raised our babies there, and it was just truly a wonderful time. And we left before I fell out of love with it. Mm-hmm. So I kind of remember it very romantically and very, very well. I'm just really happy to be back.
Yeah. And how has the transition been now to the UK?
I mean, for me, amazing.
Because it's coming home.
Well, I'm coming home, and like it was, you know, the kids coming to a new place, and Chris is Irish. But for me personally, being in London, I am fully in my shoes. Like I just feel so immediately, just felt so.
Chris is very nomadic. He can pretty do what he wants, I'd say.
He is.
Like,
he
fits in everywhere.
He is. But he loves Ireland more than anything.
Does he bring you back much?
Yeah, we come back. Yeah, we go back all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah. We've always have, even though we lived on the other side of the world, we've always come home a lot. And so yeah, the kids love Nana's house. You know, they know it really well, and they're really close to their cousins. And we've managed to remain very embedded in our family here, which is great.
Family's so important, really,
isn't
it? And the extended family that you have, a huge support structure as well. Did you find that there was, did you miss them an awful lot when you were away, and did you miss the kind of support that you have around, I suppose they say it takes a village to raise a child, you know, that kind of old-fashioned
Yeah, I would say that we had an amazing support system in America with our kind of expat friends, mostly Irish, and we're auntie and uncles to each other's kids, and
they're all bonkers over there, aren't they?
But our little crew over there, we didn't want for anything. We had our village and it was wonderful. Now we live in London and we have less of a village than we did when we were there. But when we come back to Ireland, I have to give a shout out to my mother-in-law, Denise. She's so amazing. And I'll wake up at 9:30 in the morning and the kids have had breakfast and they've been to the park. I'm like, this is why we came home. It's so lovely.
The Irish mammy, but not the stereotypical horrible Irish mammy. It's
she's
the good one.
She's the absolute best. I'm very lucky with my mother-in-law. She's a real cool dude.
You absolutely are lucky. And can I just say, I'm loving that you're dressing on theme with your book.
Can I plug all my clothes?
Of course,
because
you go for
this is a really cute Irish brand called Fauna IE. I found them on Instagram and it had a little bee on it. And then my socks, the studio is literally minutes walk from here. And then my socks, the bee socks, are from Slugs and Snails, who are based in Boyle, where Chris is from. And my kids wore these like tights and socks until very recently. And the reason I love this brand is because they do adult sizes. So when I put my kids into crazy tights, I can wear the crazy socks.
You can match.
Bees.
They are fabulous. I'm very jealous.
I love them both, but I have to wear them no matter how ridiculous I look on TV today.
You're representing your new book, Honeybee. Dawn, thank you so much for coming in and chatting to us today.
It's so lovely chatting to you. And of course, a reminder that Dawn's new book, Honeybee, is out now and available in all good bookshops nationwide.